So today you join me with Mabey of the Angling Trust, and I'm going to ask him some questions. As we've recently launched the event marketplace in partnership with the Angling Trust, and we think it's a good idea for you guys to get a bit more insight and understanding around Graham's journey and also how the event marketplace has come to fruition. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, no worries.
Maybe start by, I've introduced you by name, but maybe give us a bit of your background and your sort of angling journey as to what's got you to today.
Yeah, no worries. So like I say, my name's Graham Mabey. I've been fishing since I was, 6 years old. So almost 40 years now, Alfie. My journey into sort of angling coaching, I think it started when I used to be an outdoor education instructor. So I used to teach like climbing, kayaking, mountain biking, worked abroad in America and Thailand, and then came back to the UK and was working at an activity centre up until about the age of 25, I think. But I always thought that we need to link angling, which brought so many benefits to me as a youngster and a teenager growing up, to that world of outdoor education. And I started up an organisation when I was 26 and went full-time as an angling coach and started working with families and corporate groups, adults with learning disabilities, and did that for about 15, 16 years. And then moved to Brighton, started a family in Brighton, and started working for the Angling Trust about 4 years ago, and just recently have just been made head of coaching, and it's now my job to sort of, thank you very much, it's now my job to really strive forward and take coaching forwards in the future.
And so what was your role originally at the Angling Trust, and what is sort of, now that you've moved into that head of coaching role, what does that look like? What are your sort of aspirations for that role, and where are you sort of seeing that go of that role?
Yeah, so when I started working at the Angling Trust, I was the regional development officer for the whole of the southeast of England. So what that role required me to do was go out and meet with coaches, fisheries, organisations, tackle shops to try and get more people fishing more often. So it was all around participation, building participation. And that obviously naturally led into the use of licensed coaches, which we've got our licensed coach scheme at the Angling Trust to recognise professional coaches. And it was really nice to be able to use my experience of running my own coaching centre and the experience I've had of being out there. I sort of liken it to the other side of the fence, Alfie. I've been there on those sort of cold winter days when the little roach aren't biting.
Doing the grassroots stuff.
Exactly, I've been there, and going out as a development officer, I was able to impart some of that experience and knowledge and sort of like educate people on how they might want to set their projects up, how they can structure their sessions, how they can engage with the public a bit better, access funding.
Cool.
And then, that's led into the head of coaching role. So now it's not just regional. Now I'm looking at the whole of the country. I'm looking at improving our coaching workforce, getting better education out there, better training, and just being able to really push forwards with our coaching infrastructure.
And without it sounding like a really obvious question, why would you say that the coaching part of what we do is so important to fishing specifically?
Well, I think if we start at why is having a licensed coaching scheme important, just period, because we've got to make sure that gone are the days when we can just say, come on down to Lake Bob the bailiff, we'll take you fishing, I'm all for people getting their friends and their family fishing. We're not saying that at all. But what we're saying is if you're organising activity either through a club or a tackle shop or, actually organising activity with members of the public, nowadays you need to make sure you do it properly, and the proper way of doing that is to have a licensed coach scheme so you become a recognised professional inside the delivery of angling instruction. It's following down the same lines as all of the other sports. If you look at basketball, football, tennis, golf,
I was just going to say,
gymnastics,
it's the same everywhere else, isn't it?
Exactly. And I'm in meetings regularly with Sport England, Simspa. We're following best practice in other sports, and we're actually leading the way compared to quite a few other sports as well, with the marketplace and with where we're going to be going in the future. But we need to, it's important for the future of our sport and for safeguarding not only the people that come onto the courses, but also those people that are running them, the coaches, the fisheries, the clubs, the tackle shops and stuff.
Sure.
As I say, when I was growing up, I'm a bit older than you are, Alfie, but you used to have kids jumping on their bikes. I remember slinging my seat box over my shoulder, getting on my bike, cycling off. But nowadays, people are looking for more structured sessions to get into activities.
Protecting young people, making sure that red tape that needs to be there is actually in place.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, for friends and family, if we're taking friends and family fishing, that's cool. Let's get more people into fishing through taking your friends and family. But so many people don't have someone like that in their life that can go and teach them fishing. And that's where the licensed coach comes in. You can book onto a session with them. You can go for a professional, structured session with them. And in the future, we're going to be growing and developing that offering. So we're going to be looking down the lines of having instructors, maybe coaches, guides, lots of CPD training and stuff. But that's a little bit further down the line. I've only been in post for 2 months. So,
not to run before you can walk.
Exactly, little baby steps.
Yeah, cool. And so for people that don't know, obviously we've been working on a project together for quite a while. What is the event marketplace and why was it necessary to build?
Yeah, so the event marketplace, as we've discussed many times, is a dedicated platform that allows coaches to be able to manage and promote their events, making sure it gives them some kind of framework to fall in line with best practice in the sport, what our recommendations are around minimum operating standards, safeguarding, and it gives that assurance to people that are booking onto activity that's promoted through the event marketplace that all of those things are in place and that the events are being run and managed by licensed coaches. I think the importance of the marketplace is that, if I'm honest with you, Alfie, in the past, and as I say, I became a licensed coach probably 15, 16 years ago, something like that, and I've employed a lot of coaches, I've worked with a lot of coaches, and I don't think I'm out of line in saying that in the past what we've done is we've done the qualifications, we've given the people a certificate, and then we've waved them off and said, good luck, off you go. Good luck with your coaching.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to do that in the future. When you get your qualification, you become licensed, we want to be supporting those coaches.
Yeah.
And that's what the event marketplace does. It gives our coaches those management tools so that they can promote their activities on their website, on the Angling Trust website. They can go and offer their services to other maybe established organisations out there and go and get listed on their team as being a licensed coach.
Yep.
And that organisation has sight into their training and obviously make sure that they are
The right
who they
person,
are, say they are.
yeah.
Exactly. And it just gives that tool to our coaches to get out there and actually start delivering the sessions. And I'm all for, Alfie, that in the past we used to really focus on club delivery by club volunteers, volunteer coaches through the clubs. And I'm not taking anything away from that. That is absolutely wonderful what those volunteers do at grassroots level. But the thing is that those clubs, some of them don't have any availability for people to become members once they do their summer sessions.
Yep.
And also the clubs are running them maybe 2-3 times a year. So if you've got a youngster that's looking on YouTube, seeing fishing on TV, getting inspired from friends, and then as a parent you don't know how to go fishing, all of a sudden you're like,
very restricted.
Yeah, how do I support this? I want to support my youngster, I want to support my kids into what they are showing an interest, a passion in. How do I do that? You can't just say to them, wait until your summer holidays.
Yeah, wait another 3 months until there's something we can go and take you to.
Exactly, yeah. And then also what happens is, Alfie, in my experience, is that once you start to get these organised events that happen like in the summertime, and we used to run one with the local council, we had 544 spaces every summer holidays for kids to come and try fishing and do these fishing programmes for our local council when we ran them in Eastleigh. But it becomes organised activity and a calendar event. So what happens is that a year later, you start seeing the same people booking into those summer sessions. And they turn up and you know them by name. And you know that they know how to set a pole up. They know how to unhook a fish. They know everything that you taught them last year, they remember.
Yeah.
But it becomes a calendar activity because they're reliant on coming back to that event the next year.
Yeah.
So what we really want to do is, through our licensed coaches, is to really promote and develop those opportunities that are available as and when people want to get into the sport.
Regularly.
If you get an email that comes in, an inquiry that comes in, you can signpost them to a licensed coach that's running a session on a Saturday at a venue, or the venue itself might be running the sessions themselves. Some of your swim booker fisheries, I'm hoping in the future they will have a team set up on the marketplace of licensed coaches.
Yeah, they can employ those people to run events for them regularly.
Yeah, or just, even if it's not employing them, it's just allowing them access to the fisheries so that they can then use the fisheries to promote their sessions, and actually run their services from. Yeah. And it's it's a two-way thing, Alfie, isn't it? Because if you've got a day ticket fishery that's got a commercial interest, and then you've got a coach that wants to get people into the sport, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you
100%.
go
Bring more anglers to them. They can upsell them at the cafe and the tackle shop and everything else while they're there, and then the services that the coach are providing mean that those people are going to keep coming back after that session as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. And if you look at who is the customer it's the family or the person that wants to get into fishing. If they turn up at this, beautiful day ticket fishery, and there's good toilet facilities, there's a cafe, there's lovely parking, the swims are nice, maintained, they've got an on-site bailiff.
100%.
They might be paying for that tuition. Yeah, they might be paying, I don't know, £25 an hour or something to go and learn to fish. But in every single other sport, that's the way you get into it.
Same way, yeah. You go to a golf driving range, you take a class, all of a sudden that's the course that you learn on, and that's where you then spend the rest of your money, and that's where your sort of golfing journey continues. And there's no reason it shouldn't be the same in fishing, is there? Okay, and that's a good segue then into who can actually list an event on the event marketplace.
Yeah, so anyone can actually set up a profile on the event marketplace. If you're a charity, if you're a tackle shop, if you're a local fishery, you can set your profile up. The distinction is that you must have a licensed level 2 coach leading the sessions. Okay. So that's when you set your profile up. So let's say I'm, Southwick Tackle or something like that, a tackle shop, but I get lots of people coming through the door. Well, what I can do is I can actually get in touch with a local coach. I can run or set up some sessions. I can even advertise them through my website, and say, right, if you're interested in learning to fish, come down here, book in with your licensed level 2 coach, and you can take the booking. So it's available for anyone to use. And just to add this into our little chat, you can advertise your sessions on our website. So if you put them as public, then anyone can find the sessions on our Angling Trust website. They can find the sessions on your Swimbooker website.
Correct, yeah, and in the app, yeah.
You can also embed that into your own website. So using the example of a tackle shop, where you want to just be promoting the services that you are running through your local coach, you can actually embed that in with a little tab that says, fishing lessons,
fishing
book
events,
here.
fishing tuitions.
Exactly, and you can click on that and book here. Now,
see all of the ones that are listed with that level 2 coach, and then book onto them as the
members. Yeah, the ones that are in the area, the ones, and you can say, meet at the tackle shop, and then finish at the tackle shop.
Sure.
Come and get your equipment, and we'll walk you through the rigs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you think about, on a practical basis, what this allows the fishing community to do is that if we can link in the coaches with your tackle shops, your fisheries, and your charities and stuff, your schools, your scout groups.
More unity across the whole industry, isn't there?
Exactly. You start to be able to really bring more and more people into fishing.
Of course.
With a sustainable exit route.
Yeah. Which is a really good point, because I think one of the other things that I personally wasn't quite aware of was the lack of safeguarding and, you touched on it a little bit, but actually having the right stuff in place to ensure that when I'm turning up to an organised event, if I'm taking children, that there are checks being done and that kind of stuff is in place. So the question that I've actually got written down is, what safeguards are in place to make sure that coaches are licensed, qualified and insured, and anybody that's working with them, obviously there's something in the marketplace that enables them to make sure that's done correctly.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got our licensing scheme for coaches means that when you become licensed with the Angling Trust, you need to have your DBS, first aid and safeguard training on file with the Angling Trust, which is the national governing body. And then once you get licensed, you are issued with your insurance that comes through from us. So you know that licensed coach has got professional indemnity insurance plus also public liability insurance. Cool. That professional indemnity insurance is really important, because if you're giving advice and guidance to members of the public and something happens based on what you're asking them to do, exactly, then that's where your professional indemnity comes in. And most insurance companies will stipulate that you need to hold a professional qualification if you are giving advice and guidance.
Which is what the Angling Trust provide.
Exactly, yeah. So that's where the level 2 comes in.
Cool.
With regards to the way that it integrates in the marketplace, we've linked our database at the Angling Trust into the API of the event marketplace.
Yep.
So that means when you add a coach, it checks against our system. And if for any reason we delist a coach, so let's say, I'll use myself as an example. Say I was coaching at another club and a safeguarding instance happened and it was being reviewed and looked into, and the Angling Trust decided to suspend my license, then that would show up on your marketplace profile if I'm listed as a team member, so you wouldn't deploy me as a coach.
Wouldn't be able to be used until that was reactivated or whatever the outcome was
Exactly.
of that coach.
And if something like my DBS expires, so after 3 years you need to renew it. If my DBS expires, then it will put me from being an active coach in the marketplace into a pending coach.
And notify the organizer that
exactly
that's the case.
Yeah, exactly that. So it just puts all of these sort of automated safeguarding checks in place, which quality assures the events from the customer's point of view that are looking to book on, from us as an NGB, which is really important. You know, any event that appears on the marketplace, we fully endorse that event because it's gone through the funnel and it's been spat out at the other end saying that it's actually compliant. And it also quality assures the events for organisations that are looking to use coaches, because let's face it, you can have anyone turn up. You could turn up to me and I'm running a fishing club and you could say, oh yeah, I'm a fishing coach, you know, Graham, can I come and run some sessions on Saturday? You might even have the qualification that you did 10 years ago on a bit of paper that you're waving around. Now, a lot of clubs and fisheries would be like, oh cool, Alfie's a coach, qualified coach. But the fact is you did your training, you did, you know, a 4-day workshop, let's say, 10 years ago.
Yeah, no DBS that's in date, no recent first aid.
Yeah, and anything could have happened in that 10-year period, you know. And also, things could have changed with best practice. You know, we've now got a new minimum operating standards. We've got a roles and responsibilities document that can be found inside the marketplace. And what it does is it gives that information, out to coaches and to the organisations holding the profiles so that they can do better checks on how they run their
a little bit like the whole KYC, know your customer side of online processing. You know, you're supposed to know the person that you're dealing with or providing services to, and it's very hard up until now for, as you say, fisheries, clubs, whoever it might be, to actually have that information to hand. Whereas, as you say, with the marketplace, that's now available. And volunteers, we've done some cool stuff on volunteers as well, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, volunteers, obviously, volunteering and volunteers are part of the infrastructure of angling.
Crucial.
You know, they are crucial, we know that. But also we need to protect, again, not just the end user, but our volunteers themselves as well, because you can't just have one licensed coach sitting in the clubhouse, let's say, and then go and have, in the sheds, right, or back of their car, right, with a clipboard, and then have 40 volunteers dotted around two lakes that are all wooded, and the volunteers are running whatever they want, you know. We need to move towards organised, structured activity sessions, which are being managed by licensed coaches. And the minimum operating standards, the ratios of 8-to-1 maximum, depending on the risk assessment. You know, the risk assessment is a really important process. But the volunteers can work alongside the coaches to aid the delivery. But I can't stipulate enough, the delivery needs to be designed, structured and delivered by the licensed coaches. They're the professionals, they've had the training, and then the volunteers assist them.
Support that, yeah,
exactly, with what they've demonstrated and what the lesson plan has been designed to achieve.
Cool, and we've done a tutorial series that people can go and watch. And obviously in there, this is answered very quickly, but for people watching this content, how easy is it for a coach or an organisation to get started and actually list their first event?
Yeah, we've made it so easy, haven't we? It's I think one of the things that people were worried about when we started mentioning technology and fishing is like, oh God, you know, this is going to be really difficult to do. But, you know, honestly, I stopped at the services on the way up here and got some food, and it was harder ordering that food than it was actually using the marketplace. Yeah, you just need to go onto the Angling Trust website. There's a tab at the top which we've created which says fishing events, you know, and you go onto that, and that's where all of the events are promoted on our website if you list them as public. And at the bottom, you've just got a tab that says create an account. You go onto there, you put your name. If you've got an organisation name that you work under, you put that in there as well. You upload your logo or an image that you want to appear on your sessions. You go through some of the T's and the C's. You know, you get put in front of you the the minimum operating standards and the marketplace agreement. And then you're good to go.
And then you're in.
Start adding to your team, start listing your events.
Listing your coach that's on there, your level 2 coach, and then you're away.
Yeah, add your coaches and your volunteers first. Get your team set up. You know, that's your start.
The base.
Yeah, that's your base. You know, get your volunteers and your team set up. Get them all inputted on there. And then what I suggest people do is they start creating a few sort of demo, you know, fake events. And just start having a play around, you know, okay, I'm going to deploy sort of like, you know, 2 coaches and 3 volunteers to this. I'm going to set it up this way. I'm going to duplicate that event. I'm going to now change the title of it to make it an advanced carp session rather than a beginner carp session. Have a play around and see all of the technology we've built into it, because you can't see it when we do the tutorials, Alfie, of like, the emails that get sent through.
Sure.
The confirmation emails to the customers, the confirmation emails to the coaches. They've been
just
added
how
to
clean
teams
and transparent it makes the whole process for everyone using it.
Exactly. It's just really, really nice and easy to use. So yeah, I definitely encourage people to get out there and just create a profile and have a play with it. Yeah.
Cool. What kind of events are you hoping that coaches will run through the platform? Because obviously, looking at it from the outside, we obviously have overcome this question of technology in fishing quite a lot when it comes to fisheries and bailiffs and anglers that are booking on just to do their everyday fishing, even as far as booking holidays. But events, and based on how the Angling Trust are making sure these events are run, are a bit of a different, excuse the pun, kettle of fish. But what are you sort of hoping comes from this and the types of events that coaches are actually going to be listing on the platform?
That's a really good question. So in the past, we've really encouraged things like the Get Fishing Awards, which is a very structured and focused style of delivery. Now, the Get Fishing Awards are free or low-cost introductory sessions, normally up to about 2 hours in length, and people can come along and they can do their bronze, their silver, and their gold awards. We want to move to a future where all of the Get Fishing Awards sessions are on the marketplace, so that people can find those free and low-cost events. However, I really want to promote coaches and organisations to put all of their coaching services on there. This is a celebration of coaches. We've never done it in angling. We've always waved coaches off and said, good luck. I'm really hoping that coaches are on board with this, and we can start to see that, yes, you can book on for a £400 a day fly fishing experience down in Christchurch Harbour. You can also go to a free Get Fishing event in Kent.
Yeah.
You can go up north and you can do a carp casting event.
Yeah,
you can do a sea fishing tuition in Dover that maybe they charge £50 per person. It doesn't matter what the cost is or what type of session you are delivering, as long as it's compliant with our standards, as long as it's being led by licensed coaches. Let's come together as coaches and really celebrate what we do.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for the sport, Alfie, because when I look at other sports that have got, like if you look at football and the FA, and you look at like Basketball England, and you look at all these other NGBs, they know what their coaches do. They've got insight into what their coaches do.
Yeah.
I play basketball and I've got to be a registered athlete with Basketball England. All of the referees, all the games, everything needs to actually register with the clubs.
Yeah.
And I think that as a sport, it will really help us to actually know what our coaches are delivering, because if we can do that, we've got the statistics, the might, the force to say, look at all this wonderful work we're doing.
Almost like unsung heroes, aren't they, angling coaches? I feel like everyone's got someone in their family, particularly people that are into fishing and into angling. There's always someone that sort of taught. It was always the granddad, the dad, the uncle, the brother, the whoever. And they, as you say, they come up in every story, but there's never been a structured way for those types of people to actually provide their services in a way that gets celebrated, like you say. And I think, as you've mentioned, the marketplace hopefully enables people to do that.
Exactly.
And why? So the other thing is, why should a parent or a beginner angler book through the event marketplace as opposed to just a online, some sort of booking that a coach has just set up themselves that's not gone through the Angling Trust sort of endorsement process? Why should the event marketplace be where people turn to?
Yeah, well, I think it's just that that security around what you're booking. If you're booking through the event marketplace, you know that we're endorsing it as the NGB. The event itself is being led by a licensed level 2 coach, that everything is in date. There's been, when you create the event, the person who's creating the event, the profile holder, has to list to say that they're going to have a risk assessment held on file that's going to be available on the day, that they're going to follow our coaching code of practice, and that basically they comply with our minimum operating standards.
Yeah.
And again, I think that when you're booking on, I've got 2 children myself, when I'm going to an event, I don't mind paying for something, like they do gymnastics, horse riding, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But when I go along to them, that's the standards I expect.
You expect from it, yeah.
And it is lovely that you've got people that are sort of saying, oh, it's okay, I'm not qualified, I'm going to go out and just do this on my own goodwill. I respect that they want to put something back in the sport.
Commendable effort, yeah.
And what we need to do is we need to get to a place where we're actually supporting them, and the knowledge is out there in the angling community that's like, that's brilliant that you want to do that. What you need to do is just do your qualification, get licensed, and then you can do it.
And then you can do it through this
with the backing of the NGB through this system, and we can really celebrate it.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think in the future, Alfie, that's the way that we're going to, I've only been in post for a couple of months, but definitely moving into 2026, it's going to be a big drive as to sort of like why it's important that we need to do this as a sport, moving forwards.
Cool. And how do you see this helping grow the grass? You mentioned that grassroots stuff earlier of, the people out there doing it on the rainy nights when the silvers aren't biting. How do you feel that this, what we've built and you're, taking that post in that new role, how do you think that's going to help that grassroots angling side of things?
I think one of the main things it allows you to, well, you can promote your events much easier. Let's face it, and that's always been one of the hardest things. You've either got to set up a website and a Facebook page, and then pay for like Google ads or Facebook ads or paid campaigns and stuff like this. And now you can, once you become licensed, you can go and set up this beautiful, clean-looking interface to take your bookings. You can put it onto your website, integrate it in all your Facebook pages. You can send it to parents, and you've got a professional booking platform. You don't have to pay for, which is fantastic. Yeah. And I think supporting the grassroots events, it allows clubs and fisheries that are running those bigger events to actually have a profile and to have one register. So you could run an event, if you're doing a big grassroots event, let's say a club that's having 100 people down, you can clearly look at that and you can see who's attending, how many level 2s you've deployed, how many volunteers you've got. You can check your volunteers and you can issue everything digitally. You don't have to have bits of paper flying around in a car park.
Soggy wet bits of paper from the rain
that's it.
That kind of stuff.
It does give you at your fingertips just everything you need to get started coaching. To be honest, you could just go onto Wix, right? You could go and buy and build a website for, I don't know what it costs, like 40 quid or something like that. Just like a 2-page website, and you can plug this into it, and all of a sudden you'll get
now
going.
You've got a whole platform backing everything that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's been the reaction from coaches so far?
Well, the ones that have been involved in the development, because we've obviously had a core group of coaches that have been helping us to develop this in the springtime. The feedback's been really, really good. They love the register, the fact they can just click buttons to sign people in. They've got sight of any medical conditions. They've got sight of photographic consent. They can see the contact information. They can share registers to other coaches.
Yeah. Issuing the awards is a pretty cool one, isn't it?
Yeah, issuing the awards and keeping track of that. Some of them have embedded it into their websites already. So they've now integrated the events that they are running. So their customers only have sight of their events.
Yeah.
We've had things like, let's have a little think. So far, we've only launched it 3 weeks ago. We've had everything from kids' summer camps to carp sessions, fly fishing sessions, high-end sort of like experience days.
Yeah, I saw some of those experience days going through that they looked like it had all been, gone off perfectly. All your bookings were in. It looked like they was all, all gone perfectly.
Absolutely superb to have those coming in. And we've had Get Fishing for Wellbeing events as well. Cool. So people that are using angling to help improve people's mental health and wellbeing, they're now using it to take bookings. And the thing is, you can share that with, if you're working with, let's say, a charity like someone like Mind or something else, you can set the events up and set them as private on your event marketplace. Send your contact at Mind, the booking link, and then they can just book the clients on as and when. So if you're a social prescriber, you can have your own little link. You can even send a QR code out to those people, put it in the doctor's surgery. Want to try fishing to improve your mental health and wellbeing? Scan the QR code, go through, book your place. Job done. It's just really nice, clean way of taking bookings.
And where do you see the event marketplace in an ideal world? We're looking 3 years up the road. I know you've got a lot of big plans for your role at the Angling Trust and sort of taking coaching to the next level. I know there's been some discussion with regards to the delivery of actually getting your license and becoming a licensed qualified coach. In an ideal world, where do you see the event marketplace in 3 years' time?
I hope it really gets onboarded by the current coaches. I hope they take a lot of time to understand the marketplace about what we've designed. And I'd love to see hundreds and hundreds of events being advertised up and down the country by our licensed coaches for members of the public to book on. I keep coming back to the end user is the members of the public. What I'd love to see from the marketplace is that we get feedback from those families, from the individuals that are looking to get into fishing. And they're giving the feedback saying, that was amazing. We went onto the event marketplace. We were able to find our local coaches. We could see all the different services that they provide. We could book on with a click of a button.
And we went down, had a great time and got our rewards and everything.
Exactly. And the thing is, Alfie, we need to move to a point whereby, as the national governing body of angling, we need to be endorsing really only the events that come through the marketplace as fully endorsed events.
Yeah, almost mandatory that if you want to host an event that's endorsed by the Angling Trust, that this is the only way to do it, kind of thing.
Well, it's going to be the way that we promote events. You know, obviously, licensed coaches are licensed coaches. You can go off as a licensed coach and you can take your bookings, you can organise it, you can do it on a pen and paper and a clipboard if you still want to. But the thing is that we, as the NGB, have no sight over the procedures or what information you're gathering from a client. So, you know, you could use me as a licensed coach. I'll use myself as an example. I'm a licensed and qualified coach. I'm still going to appear on our website as a licensed and qualified coach, but there's no insight into, if you book with me,
how you're delivering that service.
Yeah, or what I've agreed to deliver on that day. You know, like I could just be turning up 5 minutes before the session with your name written down on a napkin and taking you out. You know, so it does sort of quality assure those events, or at least endorses them from our point of view, that they are being run to our standards, and also, you know, that it's been delivered by licensed coaches. But what I do want to say, you know, moving on to the end of this, is that people have to realise that when you look at an event on the marketplace hasn't been set up to try and take ownership of our coaches' sessions. These sessions are being run by the licensed coaches, the organisations they work for. All we're doing is we are basically stamping them with a seal of approval. And they're not Angling Trust events. You know, these are run by Angling Trust licensed coaches that have them through us. But each one's going to differ slightly. You're going to get different experiences from each one. The programmes out there vary, like, amazing variation.
Huge variety.
You could go like, I don't know, like dry fly fishing on the River Test with a licensed coach, or you could go and learn to pendulum cast down on the beach at Eastbourne, or you could go and learn to fish with a 3-metre whip pole in Kent, you know, or up in the Midlands or up north. You know, it really there's so much variation that we can put onto this marketplace, and I just hope that people really do sort of celebrate what we've built and and onboard it.
Cool. So finally then, to leave the viewers, if someone's listening and they want to get involved, either as a coach or a participant, what do they do next?
Yeah, so as a participant, just go onto the Angling Trust website. So it's www.anglingtrust.net.
Yeah.
And when you go on there, you'll see fishing events on the main toolbar. Just literally click on that and it'll take you to the event marketplace. If you are a coach or an organisation that wants to start using the marketplace, you've got two different options. You can either go onto the website and go onto that fishing event page and go to the bottom and just create yourself a profile and have a play. Obviously watch the tutorials that we've just filmed today. They'll be on the Angling Trust YouTube channel on a big playlist there, and I'm sure they'll be shared on Swimbooker as well.
Yep.
Or get in touch with your regional development officer through the Angling Trust, or by all means email me via coaching@anglingtrust.net. More than happy to jump onto a Teams call or a phone call with people and just talk them through how they can use the marketplace. Because one thing we need to sort of be aware of and that we need to celebrate is that fishing is such a huge umbrella term across so many different genres of the sport.
Yeah.
And we've tried to make the marketplace so it can be tailored to lots of different styles of delivery. And we're always developing it as well. You know, we always have discussions, don't we, Alfie, about, oh, it'd be nice to have this functionality.
Pieces, V2, V3,
Exactly, 100%. And build that in there. So, yeah, just get in touch with the local development officer, get in touch with us at the coaching centre, have a play with it. And I'm sure that when your listeners go out there and, you know, the people that are watching this have a little play with it, they'll be excited about what they see.
Cool, thank you very much. You guys heard it here first. Graham Mabey from the Angling Trust talking about the event marketplace and his new role as head of coaching at the Angling Trust. Us at Swimbooker, you know, we're very, very excited about this project and this platform. We really support grassroots angling. You know, our entire mission as a company has been to make fishing more accessible for the public across the country and further afield. So go and check it out, have a look, and we'll see you in the next one.